Okay, here we go. We're live. Awesome. Francisco, good to see you again, buddy.
Good to see you, Johnny.
It's
Good
been a
times.
couple it's been a couple of weeks since we got to record, so I'm excited about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Summer's been a little tough for both of our schedules, right? New job for me, and then for you at vacation.
I know. So it's been tough in a very positive way.
Yeah. I guess not tough is not the right word, but hard to
I know.
coordinate.
But hard to coordinate schedules. I know.
Yeah.
But I'm glad we're here because I've actually been looking forward to this. We've been talking about this topic
Yeah.
for a couple weeks now with text messages and then back and forth conversations and trying to kind of iron out what we talk about. But today, we are going to cover some of the key, I guess, men's mental health topics that are covered in the awesome FX TV show, The Bear. So it's one of our favorites right now. I mean, I guess I'm speaking for you. But
No, it's up there for sure. For
yeah,
sure. It's
yeah.
great.
At least for right now.
Yeah.
Like even it's like I don't know, hit forever, like I guess like all-time greatest shows or something. I'm not sure if it'll hang forever, but it's right there right now, and I think it's perfect for the topics that we've been talking about because the show really dives into a lot of really like serious stuff,
Heavy, like really
but
heavy stuff.
real super heavy issues and things, especially with some of the symbolism, things like that, and achievement and all those things. So anyway, I'm excited about it. I've been thinking about it for a couple of weeks, so much so that it makes me nervous to record this one because
Oh.
I'm like, so much is like writing on it in terms of like this is such a fun topic,
Yeah. But I mean, I think that's kind of the fun part about it too, right? Is this topic's so huge. I mean, this doesn't have to necessarily be the bear episode. It could be a bear episode, right? Where we're exploring multiple ideas of like what the bear embodies and like how that brings manhood to the focus and to the fold. But yeah, I think there's a lot of characters in there that are just kind of fun and interesting, and they feel real, which I think is always kind of a plus when you get to a show,
Absolutely. So before we get too far into it,
Sure.
let's for anyone who's watching who has not seen The Bear, we should probably cover the basic overview of what the
premise of
show
what's
is,
going on.
premise, and then introduce a couple and then talk about a couple of the characters that we'll be like highlighting, I think, in our conversation. Obviously we may just interject somebody, and that's fine.
Sure.
But the topic, so the to summarize the show, or to kind of give a overview of the show takes place around a restaurant. The first season and then the subsequent seasons are different in a sense that it's an actual different restaurant, but it's kind of the same. So it's a bit confusing, I guess, if I was to cover that. But the show starts off with the main character. His name's Carmen, but everybody calls him Carmy. And it also it takes place in Chicago. So Carmy is a extremely talented chef.
Class.
Haute cuisine, I guess, as you would call it, which is high food in French, right? But meaning the highest cuisine. So like he's a Michelin star redeeming chef. He's never earned one himself. He was quick to say he just helped his restaurant maintain it. Extremely high caliber chef, extremely talented, all these things. But he's working in this like when you see him, he's working in this like just barely surviving underwater, like basically like Italian sandwich shop.
Yeah, family owned sandwich shop. Yeah,
a family hood sandwich shop. That's fairly popular, but it's like
struggling.
Like it's
I
think
underwater.
Everybody knows, and I think everybody knows a restaurant like this where it's like, or a shop like this where it's like it's so good, but it's also like just not they're not holding it together. Economically it's not working out. The personalities might be a little abrasive and different. Like it's just maybe not all together. And it's definitely an odd place for a Michelin star chef to be. But you find out that he's there because it's a family restaurant. He has his cousin working there. His cousin's name's Richie, who's very important in the show. And then you also find out that it was his brother's restaurant. His brother owned it, and it was actually their dad's before that. Their dad owned it, and then the brother started working in it, and then the dad like basically abandoned the family at some point, and the brother took it over. Brother Mikey.
Yeah. I mean, talk about symbolism there, right? I mean, like I didn't even think about it, but I mean, you're kind of giving some like recap, and I'm thinking, well, damn, yeah, that kind of makes sense, right? The brother did kind of hold the family together after the father leaves too, right? And so he passes away, and when we catch on to that, you kind of see the hole that's created by him not being there, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So the brother. So yeah, that's kind of like the major turning that's the major shift. That's why Carmy is there. So Carmy, the Michelin star chef, is there because his brother has just killed himself fairly recently, just committed suicide and or unalived. I guess if
Yeah,
we're
best
not
way
going to
to,
be able to
yeah, we'll
show
edit.
this anymore and like on YouTube if we say the S word. So he unalived himself or he unsubscribed from life. I don't know how you say that
Ooh.
these days. It's not funny at all, but it's literally what
What you
I
have to
think
say, I
Voltaire or
know, I
something.
know.
It's so stupid. So
Which is kinda funny.
anyway, I've got to work with the censorship. We got to work around the censorship. So anyway, so that was obviously pivotal. And what's crazy is you think about it, like so Mikey kills himself, and they a lot of the people, everyone who works at this sandwich shop was there because of Mikey. He was an enigmatic personality. He drew people in. Now
Yeah.
he sucked at business generally. It seems like it. He's racking up debt. He had a
Yeah.
lot of shady business dealings. There's a lot of like
It seems a bit
shadiness.
impulsive, right? Like, just based off some of the limited things you see, like, there's a level of impulsivity that you don't really associate with the business owner. Where you're like, "Hold on, wait a second."
Exactly. And I think that well, I mean, it's just clear that I mean, with the frantic nature of it was obviously not well managed or anything like that. And Carmi's doing his best to just keep the sandwich shop alive. I mean, it's and so you're getting this really great first season is like a really great introduction to all these characters, the dynamics, kind of the mess of the situation, and then at the end of the season one, spoilers. If anybody doesn't want spoilers, but I mean,
It's an older show. Yeah,
legitimately,
it's like
you're
4
gonna
seasons
watch
in.
the show. It's not like, but they, I won't reveal how, I guess, but they come into a lot of money, a really significant amount of money, hundreds of $1,000s, I think, is somewhere in
Yeah, somewhere in
that
there.
realm. In which case, they pivot, and Carmi is like, "Look, we could change this from the beef, which is the name of the restaurant. It's an Italian beef shop. We could change it from the beef and replatform it and build something like genuinely incredible." And then they called it the Bear because their last name is Bearzano, and everybody just refers to him as
Miss
Bear,
Bear, yep.
and so they call it the Bear. They replat. So then, like the whole next season, season two is them building it, and then season three is really them starting to operate it and run it. Um, and so you see this really cool arc in a lot of ways, but the story itself evolves very like the whole first season's the beef, then you got the construction of the bear, then you have the bear
Up and
is
running, right?
operating,
Yeah.
and then now season four just got released. Now, admittedly, Francisco and I have
Haven't
not
seen it
watched a
yet.
single episode of it. I've been very excited to watch it, but it's like things keep getting in the way, and we just didn't feel it was worth not like it would be actually kind of funny as once we watch it, we're like, oh my God, we said so many stupid things now on the
I do
show.
wonder about that too, but that'd be kind of
I
fun,
quite
right? Then we
agree.
talk about, well, we got to walk that back. That was completely wrong.
That blindsided us quite a bit.
That could be
So
fun
we'll
too, though.
see. Anybody who's watched all the episodes and now watches this, and they're like, "Wow, you guys are this is us like really reacting to
Real
thing."
time.
We'll do a reaction video and be like, "Oh
Ah,
God,"
that's actually kind
but
of a fun idea too, though. Like a watch an episode, react,
watch
watch an episode, talk
ooh, a
about it,
nice
watch an
little watch
episode.
party.
We could do stuff like that. We'll talk about that
I
later.
don't
But
see why
I
not.
like that idea,
That's
right? That's kind of
like
fun.
we're barely at the point where technology's working and it's just looking at each other and getting good sound
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff. So integrating a real time video, I don't know how that's going to work.
Sure, sure.
But we need a producer at that point, I feel like. But so anyway, so that sets the stage, I think, generally pretty well.
Sure.
I think we'll talk about a couple things that we can introduce, but it's not really important that we touch on everything throughout the thing. But I- so so I would say the energy of the show is constant chaos.
Yeah, it's anxiety, the show. We were just talking about that, right? I was like,
It is
it's
anxiety.
pure chaos.
It's like the bear, anxiety, the show. It is. There are some episodes where it is nonstop yelling at each other for 30 minutes.
Something
Um,
about it's kind of a draw, like something about that draws you in, though, right? That's part of the fun and the allure
for
of the
sure.
show, right?
Yeah, it's definitely not a critique, but it is a show where that is the thing. And there's a constant pressure on the show, which I think is a thematic of the show too. Well, I mean, I think that when we start looking at like when we're actually now that we kind of start to talk about the episode and why we think it's valuable to talk about on this podcast, first of all, I'd say generally to achieve a level of greatness, first of all, to build something from nothing. Like, essentially, the bear
Right.
is built from nothing, except for Carmy is an expert at what he does, right? And now he's trying to build something from nothing. And simultaneously, what's kind of cool is that in Chicago at the time, the backdrop is still post COVID, everything shuts down. Like a lot of these really well established quality, like amazing
Restaurants. Yeah.
restaurants that like are synonymous with great cuisine are all closing around them. And then they have the audacity kind
To
of to
open
think
up
that
in the
they
middle
can
of it.
build
Yeah.
something new. It's kind of like they're constantly being checked with this doubt, which I do think is really kind of captivating in the, especially in the first season, or sorry, the second season when they're building it, because um they're building it amidst all of this. Everyone else is failing, but they're building it, and they're like, and simultaneously everything always goes wrong. Like
Yeah.
they can't
The
get
entire
the gas.
time.
The
Yeah.
gas situation is like a very big deal to them, which ends up being kind of a funny circle back on something they talk about early in the season that comes back around. But the gas thing is, they can't get the gas situation solved. They can't get like any of these things figured out, and so it's kind of a constant nightmare. And it really seems like I think constantly they're like, we are this is very, very, very probably going to fail,
Yeah.
but they're going to try it anyway, kind of thing. And it's not even the most positive like perseverance. It's not
No.
always constantly like, we're going
Definitely
to do it
not.
anyway,
Yeah,
we're going to
definitely
rise
not.
up. It's like,
I wouldn't call
it's
this a
just
feel
like,
good show. Yeah, no, it's not a feel good show, right? It's not
it's
like
not a feel good show.
I almost feel like that's kind of what makes it fun though. It's gritty and it's a little real and it's also the fact that like you actually see these characters develop and get purpose, right? And that's what actually makes them change and get better. Right? I think even with Carmy, right? Like Carmy, I don't want to get too deep into it just yet, but like with Carmy, even with him, he starts to realize you got to feel and you got to have emotions, right? And with cousin Richie, right? He starts getting better as just like a person with purpose, right? And so it's interesting how
Exactly.
this pressure cooker, this high octane, super serious, super high stakes situation pushes them and makes them better, right?
Exactly. Yeah, and actually, so let's go ahead and start talking about that, because I think what we both agreed that the most from like a better, well, from a better than all right standpoint, that kind of checkpoint we're doing, I think the two most interesting story arcs here are Carmy and his cousin Richie.
For sure.
um and what we were talking about earlier before this is that what's really interesting is that they're almost opposite story arcs to some degree, um because uh Carmy is extremely well trained, extremely capable, extremely well experienced, extremely respected, and extremely talented, and like all these things, like kind of like where you what actually there's a really cool moment in the third season when they do kind of like a look at how one of the line cooks ended up working there, and she was like an inexperienced woman, and she just kind of literally stumbled into the job, and but she stumbled into it by meeting Mikey, the brother. And one of the conversation they have is like Mikey was proudly showing, like, look at this picture of
His little
Carmy's
brother, yeah.
dish that he had sent him, this incredible food dish that was like a picture. It was that beautiful. Actually, he does draw all of his dishes, but it's this beautiful picture, like that here's what he does. Meanwhile, he's slinging beef sandwiches, which are not the most but greatest looking things, right?
I love a
So
beef
he's
sandwich though.
he's shows this picture, and what Mikey says is like talks about his brother Carmy, and he's just like he is like a real high end chef, like real, he's so freaking talented, he's so like good at what he does, and he loves what he's doing. Like he found his passion, and his skill set matches it.
Yeah.
And they literally said that's the dream,
Yeah.
right? Like that's the dream. If you can find your passion and then be exceptional at it,
That's
what
the goal.
more?
That's what we want.
That's the best thing in the world, right? Isn't that the best thing in the world? And they're both kind of jealous of him for that. So anyway, I think with Carmy, like his talents are just like way like matching his skill set, matching his passion, and all that kind of stuff. Meanwhile, Richie is almost the opposite.
Very
Like
bottom. Yeah.
Richie is like like for a lot of the show, he's struggling to find his place, especially with Carmy there.
Yeah.
Carmy doesn't know what to do with him, essentially. Like he's not really a cook. He's not a cook. He doesn't ever cook. He's not the most like what you would want, especially if you're elevating your restaurant to like a Michelin restaurant. He's not who you want in front, like at the time, he's
No,
not who
not
you
at all.
want because he's so abrasive and he's like real out for himself and also like he's got an ex-wife that and a kid and very distant and it's he's just stumbled like everything's kind of failing all the time around him and he's not the worst guy but he's also just like you are kind of thinking throughout the whole thing like he's a bit of dead weight and he kind of knows he's dead weight.
Right.
Opposite of Carmy, right? Carmy's like the like an MVP, and I think that he's resentful of that. Like that's very
Yeah, he
clear.
sees them. Well, also, I mean, I think part of like that whole first season is Richie clinging to the old ways, right? Not only did his best friend die, but then also on top of that, his little brother comes in and decides to change everything and change the face of what you have, and so he's still clinging onto the memory of what used to be and how things are and how things were, and then again, like you're saying, trying to find the way he fits in this new role, this new thing that Carmi's trying to create, right?
Well, even the fact of Carmy getting the restaurant, like Carmy wasn't allowed to work in the restaurant,
Yeah.
and that was for reasons, different reasons. But he was not allowed to work in the restaurant his while Mikey was alive, and now he's dead, and now he's running it. And meanwhile, Richie's looking like I've been running this place the whole time, and you're coming in, and yeah, I think
You're
it's
gonna
very
come in and change
clear
it all.
like
Yeah.
there's no other way to interpret feel well, there's also another way to interpret that, like he was just skipped over
Yeah.
and that he has no value, right? And what was there's a lot of symbolism in the show, which I really like. And there's a really interesting scene, and I feel like we're digging right into Richie versus hitting Carmy first,
That's okay. We can do both.
but
We'll do it all. We'll jump
we'll
around.
hop around. But when they're transitioning into the beef, or sorry, when transitioning out of the beef to the bear, he holding on to some shirts that were misprint shirts.
Right.
It's and so it says like the birth or something like that, and
Classic.
and and he's holding on to it and he's wearing them with pride because he's like collector's items, like right.
Yeah.
But what's
Memorabilia.
funny is like yeah, but look at like he's literally wearing a mistake and
Proud of it.
and he sees the value of it and
Yeah.
I just think symbolically like he's a walking representation of a mistake at this point in the show
He's the
like
birth.
he's the birth, yeah, he's the birth. And I think that it's just I think there's a lot of people. There's people that I know, and I can think back in my life, and men specifically, who I feel like they were always kind of treated like that kind of walking mistake,
Sure.
and so they just embody it, and they don't really know. They never really see themselves as something outside of maybe that they're just lucky to be a part of something or lucky to ride the coattails of something. That's kind of what Richie
Is
is to
doing.
some degree.
But that's what makes his
So
arc so important, though. That's what makes his arc
it's
so
what makes his
compelling,
art.
right?
Yeah, frankly, like, yeah, I think the reason that you can't not, the reason that we can't s- stop getting right to Richie because his story arc is incredible. But for a second, let's talk about Carmy because I think his is important. So Carmy comes in, takes over this failing shop. He's coming from like French Laundry, actual restaurants. Like
Yeah.
these are
I
names
didn't
of
know those were
actual
real
restaurants.
places. That's cool.
Yeah. And so, like the one he works at in Copenhagen, I'm forgetting the name now all of a sudden. But that's like an actual restaurant that actually it looks exactly like that. They shot it at the
That's
restaurant.
cool.
It's real, and as is French Laundry, as is a couple other places that he worked. And even in some of the scenes, like when they're going, they have actual chefs, like the real chefs. Even we just rewatched together the end of season 3, the last episode. It's called The Funeral, and there's the sitting around the table. Those are real chefs. They're every single one of them was like an actual like top
That's
chef.
awesome. I didn't know
So
that.
it's pretty cool the way they integrate the culinary culture into this kind of thing. But anyway, so Carmy is maniacally excellent, but his mania is kind of his. I mean, it's definitely his undoing, right?
Yeah.
Like his mania and his perfectionism and all these things, and it kind of comes to a head when they're opening. So like he's constantly like obviously the if you put aside so the his attempt to just keep the restaurant afloat in the first season, and then him building something new in the second season. While he's building something new, what's interesting, and I think we talked about this in a previous episode, is that he's presented with this like split of like you have to either I think his uncle,
Yeah.
who's a pretty heavy investor, who's
He's the
the
main
major
investor.
investor.
Yeah.
He's all the money. His uncle's like, "Hey man, you got to choose. Like, you've got to commit 100%. This needs to be your life, otherwise it'll fail."
And
And
that's what brought Carmy his excellence to begin with. That's how he rose to prominence, right? By becoming an unfilling machine who lives,
for sure,
eats, breathes culinary, right? Cuisine. That's what he does.
exactly. And so it's fascinating to watch. So it's extremely important for his story arc. Yeah, like you're saying, he got to where he is. He got to where he is because he's so extremely like focused on perfection and unfeeling in his details, like cold and motionless,
He's a
that kind of
machine.
thing. He's cold, he's isolated, he's all these types of things, and he will and but he starts to get involved with this girl, and he starts to have kind of a bit of a life outside of like just the kitchen, and just a life outside of achievement. Like, she didn't care that he does all this stuff. Like, she just likes him. And everybody loves her, and like she's a really great character, and she's kind of the hope for him. Like,
Yeah.
he has really no why in this. Like, why are you doing all this? There's really no point to it other than he just loves achieving and perfection. I think that's a drive that we talked about before, where men generally, like, there is a tendency to, like, when you get fulfillment from that achievement,
That's what
then
you chase.
that's all you're chasing, and that becomes like pretty intoxicating.
Well,
And I think
especially
that's
when
where
you're good
he
at it, right? Especially when you're seeing success, right? Like Carmy, think about it. He goes from the very beginning all the way to the top, and he's maintaining Michelin stars, and he is the guy. I think he's in magazines, right? At some point, you see them as like a chef that people are talking about, and he's super revered, right?
well, one of the characters, other main characters, she's definitely not a secondary character, she's a main character. Her name's Sydney, and she joins the kitchen at the beef at this crappy little sandwich shop because she wants to work with Carmy because he's that good, and she thinks he's the best chef in the world. She ate his food one time and was like, "That's the greatest meal I've ever had in my life. I want to work with him." And so, um, I think it's fascinating to see her. To yeah, it's a testament to how good he is, right? And so, but he gets this, and there's a really great scene between Unc, or the uncle, and Carmy, where they're just about to open the restaurant, and Unc's literally like, "This needs to be your life. This needs to be all you do. This needs to be all you think about. This needs to be everything for you." And you could tell Carmen's just like, "Yeah, but I'm kind of like, I'm definitely
Kind of happy
falling for
now.
this
Yeah.
girl, and there's a girl now, and I'm definitely falling for her, and I want a life too." And he literally, he says like, "Well, I've kind of been seeing this girl," and Unc just looks at him and goes, "Oops."
Yeah.
and and it's such a, almost like a heart, like your heart drops,
For him,
like,
yeah.
because you realize that Carmi is gonna have to make this choice, or he sees it as a choice. He's not just gonna be like, "Screw you, Unc, blah blah blah." He's gonna be like, "I've gotta decide."
See, but I think that's the great lie. I think the great lie is that we have to make that choice, right? I think that's the lie we tell ourselves, that to be great or to do the thing, that you have to give up everything else. You have to be this cold, unfilling machine. And I think for Carmy, it's easy for him to get there, right? Because you look at his family background. They have a family episode where they do Thanksgiving at his house, and you see that, like, it's pure chaos. There's a lot of turmoil at home. And so I think for him to achieve something and to find purpose, right? I think that was enough to keep him going. And so that gave him something to work for, right? Some reason to live. But now once meets Claire, he meets the girl, he thinks, well, damn, there is a life outside of this. There is a life outside of achievement and purpose. And I might be able to find fulfillment and happiness. And I think the lie that he buys into, and we see in the, I think it's the final episode of, is the final episode? I actually don't remember, of season 2.
Yeah, I think
Right.
so,
Final
when they
episode of,
open the restaurant. Mhm.
right. They open up. Sorry, I could be wrong, but they open up and he gets stuck in the freezer, right? I mean, like he gets stuck, he loses it, he absolutely whacks out, and yeah, it's just
Yeah.
it's a rough watch.
So you bring up, so that let's, I think we could talk a lot about the freezer, because the freezer is a very clear metaphor for the
Sure.
for this situation. But I think before that, you talked about the episode with the family. There's a long episode. Usually these episodes are about 30 minutes. This one was like a full 60 or
Yeah.
45, something like that. This that episode is the most intense episode of almost anything I've ever seen since like Breaking Bad,
Yeah.
when it was like the turmoil at the end with like, yeah, this lived up to that, and it's a freaking family dinner.
Yes, it is.
This is not
Yeah,
this lives up to the stress level of Breaking Bad's like drug cartel coming after Hank and him and all this kind of stuff. Like
the
this,
tension is
like
there the entire
I'm
time.
still
Yes.
so on edge the whole time. And a lot of it, first of all, a lot of it has to do with their mom, who Jamie Lee Curtis. I mean, I hate to, I'm not trying to in any way downplay Jamie Lee Curtis's history as an actress, but I never thought of her as like a top actress. Like
Sure.
I think of like Halloween and maybe like Freaky Friday
Yeah, she's
and
more of
like
like a
some of those things.
blockbuster type, like,
And
fun. Yeah.
yeah,
Freaky
and
Friday,
you know,
right?
her dad was an actor, so I was like, okay, well, she got in because her dad was, you know, like there's a lot of
Original
things.
nepo baby, is that what
Tony
I'm hearing?
Curtis, Tony Curtis, who he was in some pretty good stuff. Uh, uh, but Santi, I don't know, I just never think of her. She is phenomenal in the show. Like her the way she can have that manic side to her
Then she's
and
sweet
manic
and
depressive,
endearing out of nowhere, and then you're like,
and you
"Oh,"
just
and
want her, and you want, she's one of those people you want her to make the right choices, and she just like is so unpredictable, so she's a very unstable presence, and I think that there's a lot in the show that's kind of unsaid. There's so much talking in the show, but there's still so much unsaid in the show, and I think a lot of it is like, you know, she is um really, really manic. I think she's manic depressive. I think that's what that is. I'm not a psychologist, so
yeah, me
whatever.
neither.
But I think that's what it is. Where, you know, she's up, up, up. She's nonstop work, 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 work. Like she's a powerful, like she's in there making everybody
All the dish.
dinner,
Yeah.
all of them. Yeah, she literally will let nobody help her. And then she complains about not having anybody helping her. You know, it's that whole thing,
Yeah,
which I
yeah.
feel like that's like a mom thing
It is,
sometimes.
it is. It's the mother guilt,
But
ma
so moms
maternal
do.
guilt.
Yeah. Yeah. But she's just like making everything, and she's just like just dying, like literally about to fall over, and then she's super drunk, like she drinks like a fish, like crazy, crazy amounts of stuff. So they're trying to wash her for that, but she won't let anybody help. But she's, and then it's like everyone's set and they're so appreciative, and then she just can't accept it, and she thinks they're all like, it's just like this. I can't imagine. So the what I'm getting to is in terms of like her kids, Carmy and Mikey, you know, like
And
how
sugar,
would
can't forget
that
sugar.
environment, and Sugar, yeah, the dog, who again their nickname for her is based
I
off of
know,
mistakes she made,
I
which I
know.
always thought it was like, I thought it was gonna be like because she's so sweet, and it's
Yeah,
like no, it's because one time she mixed up sugar and salt, and something was salty is over sweet now, and now they just call her Sugar. I'm like,
but
boy, to
but it
like,
also, like, it kind of, it gives you context behind her reluctance to get into this business and to get involved in the kitchen and any of
sure.
that, right? Because, like, her whole life she's been called Sugar, reminded of this constant mistake that she made one time when she was a child, you know?
Is insane. Um, but anyway, so like, yeah, that episode is a pretty that what gives you a lot of like insight to this. But but so I was kind of, I like the Jordan Peterson like idea of things being either kind of in buckets of chaos and buckets of order. Like certain people bring chaos, certain people bring order to situations, and I think that in this, what's interesting here is that the mom is pure chaos because
Yes,
you never know where she stands, like, and she is so unpredictable and she's so like unhinged in a lot of ways, and like definitely has some sort of mental disorder with
absolutely.
her,
Something's going
um
on,
and
and the alcohol doesn't help.
it's, yeah, the alcohol doesn't help, everything like that, and so but so what is Carmi constantly striving for is absolute maniacal order.
Yeah.
Now it seems chaotic because he's like, you know, get, you know, I need hands, I need dollars, like he's screaming, yelling, everybody like this, like he's you know, he's Gordon Ramsay in a lot of ways, like all this kind of stuff, like he's very much yelling and screaming, but he's his perfectionism is seeking like order in amidst the chaos, and the kitchen represents a lot of that. The kitchen is chaos, but it's also like kind of a sanctuary for them because they're all taking things that are chaotic and stressful
And
and
controlling
making
them.
order out of it through the
Yeah.
precision. right? Precision and
And
beauty and all this stuff.
creation, and like you take all of these raw ingredients and you make it into something that someone loves, right?
Which in the Jordan Peterson realm is chaos. So like he got a lot of flack because he says women represent chaos,
Sure.
and it wasn't in a sense that women are
Chaotic.
bring a chaotic force or
Sure,
whatever,
sure.
but they are the creators. Like they create life through like the birthing process is pure chaos and
Yeah.
is pure like pain and like all this kind of stuff. But that's like how things like land is developed by volcanoes and eruptions and violence,
Yeah.
right? Those are
Creation
not
is this
peaceful.
chaotic thing.
There's no order to it. It is chaos, and that's what creation is. And so they love that, but then they bring order to it through like precision and all this kind of stuff. So I think that's a really interesting thing when you see the mom and how difficult she is to deal with, and you see his desire to bring order to everything. I think that makes sense in
Yeah.
Carmi's arc a little bit there. And then it all kind of comes to a head as you were mentioning in the freezer. So the first day they launch, like it's a soft launch
It's
still,
the soft
but it
launch,
is
yeah.
the first time they open the doors to anybody coming in.
They're seeing what this thing could be, right? And how good it can be, what the
Exactly.
Yep.
And he gets stuck. Now the funny part is that
I mean,
that
it's his own
Sydney
fault, right?
had
Yeah.
been telling him for a week to call the guy about call the freezer guy about the door because the door latch keeps popping off. And he never did it, never did it, never did it, never did it. And I think so. So he never did it, and he's thinking because he just had that conversation with Unc about not taking your eye off the ball of the restaurant, and then he gets trapped inside of it because the latch breaks, and there's nothing anybody can do, which I think is crazy. Like
Yeah, what's the design here in this fridge, right? Like, what are we? I'm not a fridge designer. I don't know how this works, right? I've never even been in a walk-in, maybe once in a walk-in fridge, but still, do we not have like an emergency latch? Or is there not like a situation that where you
I
can
think
maybe break it and get someone out of it, right? Like, I don't.
there's this is an unopenable fridge situation. But what was kind of funny is like he was so stressed and kind of crazy that a lot of the rest of the chefs are
Leave him
kind
in
of
there.
like, all right, I prefer him in the in the
Leave him
fridge.
in there. Leave him in there.
Leave him in there. We'll get this
He needs some
done.
time out. Some time out.
Um, and so he's in a timeout. It's been bad, and so he's in there. So, but there's nothing he could do then except sit and chill,
And be
basically,
alone with his thoughts, which is like the
which
worst
is
thing he could
where
do in this situation, right?
it is. And so yeah, he's thinking about him failing, he's thinking about his relationship, he's thinking about all this stuff. But I mean, he can't help think that this is his mistake. He took his eye off the ball, and it's because he took his eye off the ball, and he
That this
needs to
happened.
cut those things. And so unfortunately, it leads to his girl overhearing that, and she is like, well, clearly he thinks I'm nothing but a distraction to him. And that's gut wrenching and hurtful. And it's gut wrenching to everybody who's watching because you're like, this is like your hope, right? And the fridge is literally what he's built. Like
Around his
he
life. Yeah.
he's built this around his life. He's isolated. He's cold. Like cold, sterile environment where nobody's in there, and he's cold, and it's preserved, and nothing's moving. There's no life in there. It is just death. Everything else is going on outside of him, but he's stuck here. And that's the pure symbol of what he's built. And he built it, and he literally locked himself in, which is literally what he does. He locks himself in it by accident, but that
Right.
is what the symbolism of the situation is. It's a really, really cool. That's what's great about the show is it's like when you think about it, you're like, wow, they really set this up to be like that is clearly what he's doing to himself. And it's coming to a head here.
Yeah, and the human element of it, right? Like you see it in real time and you feel for him because you obviously as viewers, we can see it. We're like, dude, go outside, go enjoy yourself, go be with people, go live life. You don't have to make this choice that you think you have to make. But you know, it's easy for us to say we're playing what armchair quarterback is the best way to describe that, right?
Sure.
So it's
Yeah.
like,
We're not the man in the arena.
yeah, exactly. So I think that's what makes it so compelling as a viewer, right? Because you want Carmy to choose hope to try both out and see where that takes them, you know?
Exactly. I mean, it's a really tough to watch, but and so then that's where his arc kind of leads is to him in this situation.
I'm hoping
Um,
season 4 shows him becoming like feeling again. You know what I mean? Making that realization. I don't know. We'll find out. But I hope he has the realization that like you don't have to kill those things inside of you to achieve perfection or greatness, right? I don't think you do, at least. And I mean, maybe I'm not the best determination of that. But at the same time, I just think even if that is, that's not a perfection I want, right?
yes. Now let's segue that then into
Richie?
Richie's arc, because we've been dying to do it
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah, yeah.
So Richie starts out at the bottom very clearly. He has no clear place. He has no really clear definable skill and talent.
He doesn't want to change. He doesn't want to make any strides. He doesn't really have purpose. He's aimless, right?
Exactly. And so um, what's interesting is that while he is there, I think it's clear that he's good at drawing people in to some degree.
Well, he's got a charisma about him, right? There is something charismatic about him.
He's maybe not as good as Mikey was, but he's got that. And I think you see that in a flashback episode where he's just got a lot of personality to him. People are really kind of like working with him a lot. But he's super abrasive, super difficult. Like he's and he's frankly he is the way he is because he lacks place or purpose, right?
Right.
And I think that we that's like a resounding theme of the show, right? We
Yeah,
lack
purpose.
of of that show and this show, w- without a clear purpose and a place, I think is the worst place to be as a man, because you're just like, I'm just useless. I cease to have purpose, and
Yeah,
I know I
there's
feel like I have no
zero
purpose.
self-esteem, zero way to show value for yourself. And so and you see that with Richie, right? Like you see that in his personal relationships, like you've talked about, like with his daughter and his I think it's ex-wife, isn't it?
Mhm.
Right? His
Yeah, because she's
ex-wife
about
and
to get yeah, and she's about to
remarried,
get
right?
married to somebody
Yeah.
else, right? But definitely, I mean, like just thinking about that generally, like, um, it's, he doesn't. I don't think he's somebody who ties himself to his achievements because he hasn't achieved a lot, but he does. It's hard to see where he gets his any kind of like self worth or self esteem. He's just at the bottom where he has very little, and then he doesn't really. It's almost like he's um he has this conversation with his ex-wife that's really intense, and the reason it's intense is because it seems like he's just fighting to please, like, let me,
Yeah.
like, I'm a good person, and nobody can see it because kind of the way he acts, like he doesn't, like, when it is sad when you see somebody who has no realization that they have worth and value. They're so abrasive about, and they're kind of like, the whole world screwed me, and
Right.
so I'm gonna just screw the whole world, right? Screw all of you, screw everything. And you're just like, you don't have to have that perspective. You don't have to have that lack of like awareness of who you are. And what's great about this show is that so as they're transforming the restaurant into something that's going to be high quality, Michelin caliber, that kind of stuff. Um, it's really cool that they want to do it with everybody who's gotten them to where they are now. They didn't just go out and trash and like fire everybody and get people who've worked in Michelin restaurants. They
No.
try and turn these line cooks into Michelin chefs. They try and turn their front of house staff into Michelin front of house staff. And so they send there's an episode, it's called Forks.
Love that episode. Such a fun one.
It's by far my favorite episode. It focuses on Richie, and he gets sent to go work in a very high end Chicago restaurant. Um, and to be trained essentially. And Carmy arranges it because he used to work at this restaurant. He's got a lot of pull.
Like, yeah, send the guy over.
Yeah, we'll do anything for Carmy. But I think that is kind of how that, like, you do when you build relationships and you work, that is kind of how it works.
Yeah.
Like, hey man, like I like past relationships. Like, can you do this for me? It's that is what's great about like some of these relationships through, especially because I think a lot of them have been through hell in
In the
themselves,
kitchen.
right?
Yeah.
And so you build bonds through
The
the
trauma.
fire, through trauma, through shared
Yeah.
trauma. So So anyway, so he calls in a favor at this place, and so Richie gets to train here, and Richie's tasked with polishing forks.
Which he hates, right? He thinks it's like, why did I come here? This is supposed to be this fancy, awesome experience, and here I am polishing forks. What do I care about forks, right?
Now he's there for a total of a week,
Yeah.
and if I look back, I wish I could have kept track of the days more. Like I said, 'cause I don't know exactly how many days, but he spent a lot of time. His whole only task was polishing forks, and he saw this as like a real offensive slap in the face. Like, that's all I get to do is polish forks. That's all I can be trusted with. That's all you think of me is
Yeah.
all I can do is polish forks. Like I'm like some moron. Any idiot can polish forks, that kind of stuff. And he makes a joke to the front of house manager or whatever, who is like, um, can I at least wash a dish or something? And the front of house manager says something I love, where he's like, no, we have the best
Best
dishwashers in the
dishwashers in the
world
world. I love
back there washing dishes.
that.
So no, you can't go wash a dish. Like, you can't be trusted with the dish. I mean, this is all spitting in his face. Like, Richie's one of those guys who's like,
He's got an
all
ego. Yeah.
I've got respect, right? I gotta, which is funny. Like, it's funny. I hate to joke about him, right? But like, how many guys you know whose ego outmatches their maybe talents or like what
Yeah.
they've done? Like I'm not trying to put him down and say all he can do is polish forks,
All he's
but at
done
the
so
same time,
far
you're like,
is showing that he can do forks.
humble yourself, bro. Like, humble yourself. And that's kind of what happens. So he gets real mouthy with this front of house person. He takes him out, and the manager's like has this great like talk to him, and it's just basically the guy was just like, look, this restaurant is an experience that people wait for years to come to experience. They save their hard-earned money to come eat here. They wait for years on a waiting list. This is like a epitome of like sometimes
It's
this
the
is the
Super
greatest
Bowl.
meal of people's lives, right? And so the expectation that the front of house person has is like, we need to meet that. Like, if they come in here and see a smudge on the forks when this is supposed to be the greatest dining experience in the world,
What are they supposed to do with
that's
that?
that's
Yeah.
not that doesn't meet their expectation. And now they feel like they've been shortchanged on what they do, even if it's that minute of a detail. So take take some freaking pride in what you do and understand that every little bit is amounting to the greatest, some of these great experiences. And I think that turns like things around a lot for Richie in his context of like, I get it.
That
I need to do things excellent.
Well,
Like,
that and then actually witnessing it in practice, right? Like when you see the scene where they get the Chicago deep dish pizza, or where they start to like really care. They know about birthdays. They know they comp a meal for someone who's been saving for years, right? Things that they've gone above and beyond without like having any kind of prior knowledge, but they do the research and they figure these things out and they go above and beyond to deliver this experience. And I think when he sees that, you actually see the spark in him. You see him realize like there's a purpose. There's a reason to care about these things, and it feels good to do so. And it's wonderful to watch. It makes you feel like, holy crap, this is awesome, right?
yeah, it's like, yeah, you actually are like, God, I wish I could work there
Yeah, a
and do
little
that.
bit, right? Yeah, it
It's
kind of
like that seems
inspires
like
you.
so cool. Like, it could just be great, but it
That's it.
is like,
Wife, I'm becoming a chef.
that's it. I'm just gonna go. Not even that. I'm gonna go polish forks and like I'm at the
Oh, there
greatest restaurant in the world, right?
you
Like,
go.
you're just like, I got to do it. But because it does, like, they found meaning and purpose and value in kind of like the serving others, right? It's like, how can you serve somebody else in the best way possible? So he reads this book. Actually, I have it on my shelf called Unreasonable Hospitality.
Oh,
It's that kind of thing. It's like the greatest experience in the world is not necessarily based on the like the furnishings and the decor and even the quality of the food sometimes. I mean, it's obviously like but it's all of it. And it's also like, have you ever just had somebody like come at you with like all they've got? Like, I'm going to make your day the greatest day I can imagine. What could you do? And they're paying attention to you. They're listening for like cues of you just offhand saying, we came all the way to Chicago and we didn't even get a deep dish pizza. I'm a little disappointed. And they're like, let's go get this guy deep dish
deep dish
pizza.
pizza right
Let's
here.
go. We're gonna
Yeah.
go do that. We're gonna deconstruct it. Oh my god, we're gonna do. Wait a second. We're gonna do this incredible. Like, they start thinking of ways to just like wow everybody. And then Richie just is like enthralled. It's like a challenge. Like, how can I
Bring this to the
like
bear, right? Yeah.
his well, and even like himself, like his value then becomes
Service.
like like pure service, and like realizing that like we get he gets to be a part of he gets to be in charge of building an experience that really just like people talk about for years as the greatest thing they've ever done. So then and what's great is that then that so there's a couple things in the episode that I love that are like little nuances. The first day he has to wake up super early, and I think he's either hits snooze on his alarm, or he gets up late, or he's just kind of like slugging through. Then as the days progress, he's getting up earlier and earlier, and like beating his alarm, like because he's just like, I can't wait to get in there. I'm gonna like do all this stuff. I'm gonna knock it out. He's reading the book. He's doing all these extra things to make this like um make to really show his dedication to and his newfound commitment to the restaurant, but also like just his life. He's like, I'm being intentional about things, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I can actually take charge of some, I can make some, and he realizes that maybe he hasn't always like thought about like, how could I have done that better? How could I have like served like my wife's better? How could I have served my brothers better? How could I do all this? And so it's a phenomenal episode to just watch that progression. And then like what was great, so the end of the episode, he has a conversation with the head chef there, and she's just a remarkable person. She's very caring, very delicate, very like she likes the details, and she's kind of like, I don't remember what she's doing. I feel like she's like pulling pea, like she's taking the
Yeah.
peas out of the shells
Yeah,
or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
And just patiently doing it, nothing, no rush, no nothing. She's just like kind of doing it because she just likes to do that kind of detail stuff. And he's talking to her, and he says something like, you know, oh, I bet Carmy sent me here because like, you know, he's just thought it was he'd be
Like a
funny to like
punishment.
put me this
Yeah.
low, like a punishment, or like it's so low. And like he even calls him at one point and is like, oh, you think all I can do is polish forks? And there's construction. But he was like, what? What
Like,
do you
what are you
mean?
talking about? Yeah.
Like, what are you even thinking? And then the chef says to him something like, he sees so much potential in you, you should know that. And he's like, nah, he sent me here to punish me. And he's like, no, that's why you're here. Like, that's why he sent you here.
Why else would he do that?
Why else would he do
Yeah.
this? So it's a phenomenal arc, even just within that one episode of like, wow, he went from, and then the next, in all subsequent episodes, he says, you know, he's really living up to that expectation. And even when he comes back to the restaurant at the Bear to work and they're still putting it together, like he's not showing up, and it's like he's wearing suits, full on
Full
suits.
suit.
And they're like,
Yep.
who died? And he says it every time. He's like, yeah, I wear suits now.
I just do it.
Like, I just wear
That's what
suits
I
now.
do. Yeah.
Yeah. I
No,
wear
I
suits
love
now.
it. And I think what's fun about that is the way that like there are, like you said, they're total opposites, right? You see Richie, who's almost aimless, directionless, but almost super emotional, right? Almost to the point where he's over emotional, right? He's distracted by everything else outside of his life, right? And you have Carmy on the other side of that, who's not emotional at all, not feeling, but has done really great things with his life. And you see how they start to change and how they kind of meet somewhere in the middle. That's why I'm excited for season 4. I'm hoping that Carmy kind of comes around. I'm hoping we get to see more out of Richie, get to see him succeed and earn his his praise and the what is it, the flowers that he's due, right? I'm excited for that, right?
It's his flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a new term.
It
But
is.
a- and so the only other thought, the other thought, because there's so much we can dig into here. So I feel like you said, this could be a multi, like we're going to revisit the bear
Yeah.
again. Um, um, but what I think is really interesting too, about the situation is how much we assume we know about what's going on. So here's what I'm getting to. So Richie's goes and he looks at his situation that he's polishing forks and feels like he starts to write the story that Carmi sent him here
As punishment.
as punishment because he thinks this is all I can handle and that I'm worthless, right? And Carmi's like, farthest thing from the truth, right? Mikey wouldn't let Carmi ever work in the beef, not because he didn't want to work with his brother. He loves his brother and he was proud of his brother.
Because he thought he
But
could do more.
this place is garbage.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be here because this is not where you should be. This is not
Well,
who
because he could
you
do so
are.
much more, right? He knew that he could do so much
And
more.
and the only and you know, there's a letter that got lost, And had he discovered the letter sooner, season 1 would have been a lot shorter,
For sure.
because they would have, and they would have gotten the money a lot faster, and he wouldn't have had to work that year at the beef, which did seem like, why do you want? Oh, now I get to work because so Carmi was always kind of, oh, now I get to work here because you're dead, and you got to leave me with all this crap, and I was
Yeah.
never good enough to work here, and blah blah
But
blah.
now I gotta
Just
take
all
care
this
of it.
stuff, and I got to
Yeah.
take care of it. When in reality, that wasn't the thing at all. But I think that's really powerful, as far as like the struggle you're in whatever the circumstance you're in. Sometimes you don't see what you're supposed to be learning in the struggle until you're through it, like, or like, you have to understand, like, you don't, you may not understand the purpose of you cannot understand the purpose of the struggle until
You've gone through it.
you've gone through it, and you can look back and say, okay, that's why I was going through that experience or something, right? Like, I feel like there's a lot of that in like religious conversation, a lot of that in like biblically, like there's a lot of stuff talking about that, to be great, to be grateful for your struggles, or grateful for the challenges and that kind of stuff. And that's the point, is that a lot of times that you curse, like, you experience, you go through, um, because all you can see is that it was painful, and you don't know what you're supposed to be doing there. But like Carmi, and his brother, and why he felt like he was shunned by his brother, when that's not the case at all. He actually valued him more. That's why he didn't want him there. And then, Richie polishing forks, the experience, you're getting given what you can handle, and the lesson that you're supposed to get from it, and you're in the moment you're supposed to be in at that moment. And if what you want to read into it, like why you need to be polishing forks, don't maybe the what you shouldn't be kind of drawing the conclusions of why you should be polishing the forks, and instead learn the lesson of kind of like, what is polishing forks like, doing, like, why do I need to be here in this moment, instead of like the judgmental, like, am I being punished? Is this a punishment for this?
Or
It's
does
like,
this
well, what can I
matter?
be get what do my hands get to do here? Like, what do or like it's amazing. You get to see, you know, his assumption of what Carmi's perspective is him. And you have this other guy saying that this is, you get to be part of something that is going to that's going to be one of the best experiences of somebody's life. That's what you're a part of today. Your forks get to be, like, are perfectly polished to the point that that is perfection. And before the thing, they're going around looking to place blame on somebody who left a smudge on a dish. And the reason is because that smudge makes it look like there's somebody who doesn't care about what they're doing. And the motto at that place is every second counts, right? And so it's, and it that's a general, like, okay, make sure but it's like, it actually matters, like every second counts, because that's the smallest frame that we have, and that counts just like a fork counts, right? Your forks count. And so I think there's so much like symbolic value, and then it creates the story arc for somebody, for Richie altogether. But yeah, I love the story, and I
It's been
love
fun.
the lesson you can get from it.
Yeah, yeah. I think it'll always be worth a revisit. I'm excited. Season 4 will tell us more. We'll get to see more about it. I'm sure it'll give us more to talk about. I think it'll be perfect.
Definitely. I guess we'll put a pin on that there, because I had more. There's definitely more we can talk through. I think there's a lot of interesting things with how the men and the women are very in the show, are very different in their
Yes.
presentations and interactions together, but also their own struggles, and how those are kind of
Yeah,
different in themselves,
like
like how.
Sid brings balance to Carmy, and then also like there's her ambition, which is kind of fun, right? And you kind of get to see how he's kind of
Yeah.
tampering her, but at the same time he's building her up and she's pushing him. I think there's definitely a lot there.
Yeah, and Sugar has a good role in all that. She's bringing a lot of order to things, but then she's also having a kind of, she fights with Richie because he doesn't have a place. Yeah.
Yeah. And talk about nurturing,
That's-
right? I mean, she's pregnant throughout most of the process, right? And she has this nurturing presence where she's kind of like the mom of the whole thing, you know? So it's interesting.
she is.
It's there's a lot there.
And so I guess, like, homework wise, I'm gonna tell. So we're gonna watch season 4. which I'm excited about. But I would love to see like anybody who's watching or listening. I'd love to hear if you watch it, like post some comments, post some questions wherever you're watching it or however you're doing it on the episode or whatever. I think we can get them all. Just let us know if you've watched it, what you think, what are your standout moments, what matters to you. Is there something that resonated with you more than like an episode that we didn't talk about? Obviously, we're going to talk about it more, but like
Or even
just
if you
tell us
disagree.
generally, like talk about the bear. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you disagree,
I love a good
tell us about the
discourse. So we talk
bear.
about it. We're like, damn, why were we were wrong? That'd be great. I'd love that. That'd be fun.
Yeah. Watch the bear. Tell us about what you think about the bear. What have you liked so far? What's your big takeaway? Have you thought about it like this too, or is this prompt anything? Just anything you're thinking, just post it. I'm excited to read and hear from anybody who sees it, and then we'll maybe pull those up, and that'll lead into another conversation about it. But for now, great show. Watch it. It's on FX, which means that it's on Hulu and Disney. Um, and I think Apple TV maybe as you pull stuff in, but Hulu and Disney for sure because that's how we watch it.
Yep.
So check it out. And season 4 just got released, so binge it right away.
Very cool.
Okay, cool, awesome. Thanks so much.